2, 1. Okay, it looks like we're up and live. Good morning. I'm sorry we're not in class, but these things happen. So, I want to talk today about C.R.A.P. Anybody who's ever had me before knows that I love to talk about C.R.A.P. because to me, C.R.A.P. is the foundation of effective visual communication. It's fairly short and straightforward to learn the basic concepts, but you can spend an entire career trying to master them. Even as I critique work from alum who've been out there 10 or 15 years, a lot of it still comes back to the 4 basic principles that we're going to cover. We're going to use Photoshop this month a lot, so we'll do this exercise in Photoshop. If your window looks different than mine, which is fine, you can always go into Window Workspace, Reset Essentials, and get back to the factory defaults. I do not see that there's some stuff cut off at the right edge of the screen over here. It's not going to be not going to affect what we're doing, so I'm just not going to worry about that at the moment. So, File, New. Okay, so we have Photoshop up here. I'm going to start off by setting this up for a business card, which is what we're going to use for our example. We're going to set it up at 3.5 inches by 2 inches. We're going to pretend this is going to print, so we're at 300 dots per inch. And I'm going to go ahead and start off in RGB color mode as opposed to CMYK. Yes, we often convert to CMYK before we print, but that's a lecture for another day. So let's hit create, and here we go. The first thing we need is some content to work with, so I'm going to simply add some text over here in my toolbar. I'm going to hit the T for text. The shortcut, by the way, is just hitting the letter T, and then we click and we can type. Ooh. And we have some very large text. I'm going to change up here my options down to 12 points, and Avenir next is fine for what we're doing right now. Okay, so my name is Greg Williams. Okay, and you'll notice over here we have something called the Layers palette, and we just created a new layer. The nice thing about layers, boy, something's going on in the background, lagging my computer a little bit. Nice thing about layers, layers just kind of float on top of a background, and we can move them, we can manipulate them, and we can have fun with them. Instead of taking a long time to sit there and hit the text tool or hit the shortcut letter T, and click off that, I'm going to just go ahead and copy that by holding the Alt or Option key and dragging for what we're going to be working with. Now, as I grab the T text, or the T for text, we're at 2400 Interstate Drive. Come on, baby, catch up with me. Really lagging here right now. If we triple click once we're typing in between a word, double click, it selects the word, triple click to select the entire area. Florida 33805, backspace 33805. Click to accept it. Down to this one, and 863 370 3785. Yes, that is my personal cell number. Text me. Don't bother calling, you'll go straight to voicemail, but text me if you need anything. and G. Williams at KaiserUniversity.edu. And click the little arrow up here to accept it. There's other ways to accept it as well, but that's the quick and easy way that I do it. I'm just going to, over here in my layers palette, I'm going to click that top layer and then shift click so that I have all the layers at one time, and I can just kind of move these together. While I have them together here, I'm going to hit the center button. Again, I'm in the move tool up here, center button, and I want to distribute these evenly according to center. Okay, and we have probably all seen a business card that's about that darn interesting. Don't make yours look like that. Okay, so C.R.A.P. The first thing is the P. We're going to work backwards on this, and P stands for proximity. The theory being that how the mind recognizes information and stores information. Right now we have 2, 4, 6 pieces of information. However, if we were to come and grab these up and put them together, the closer two things are together, the more they are recognized as being a separate piece of information. And as we do this, we now are dealing with 3, potentially 4 pieces of information. You see Greg Williams, graphic artist, as a single piece of information. The address is a single piece of information as opposed to separate pieces of information. So if I have a party going on Friday night, yay, at 8 p.m., I want to put Friday and 8 p.m. close together. That way people aren't trying to, now when was it? Was it Thursday or Saturday or Friday? And if they remember the 8 p.m., or they may remember that it was Friday and now they can't keep track of when it was. So that's the first step, is proximity. Okay. Next thing we want to do is let's take a look at alignment. This is currently center aligned, which is really awesome for wedding invitations and anytime you want to make a soft statement. We will note that most beginning designers, or most people who think they know design, tend to center align everything, and that doesn't really help people retain the information, and it doesn't always add strength to our design. So again, coming over here and click and shift click to select everything. If we design it to the left, it's got a very different feel to it. We're reinforcing the lines of the page. We've got some flow going left to right. That already, to me, feels a little bit better. We could also do a right alignment. Please note, I am not cramming it all the way to the edge of the page. I'm letting the white space help frame it and reinforce the line. I kind of like that feel. Yes, I have a lot of open white space over here. That will take care of in a little bit. We can actually take a look at how to use alignment further right now. Let's pretend like I wanted to come over here. I'm going to just grab a rectangle tool, and if I were to use a rectangle, which I'm not going to, maybe I will, I would want to try to align across the top and across the bottom here. I'm now adding some strength that way, and I can change my stroke so it's not so overwhelming, and maybe give it a little bit of color up here. See, now I don't know what colors I'm going to be using yet. And it starts to fill in just a little bit. Not loving it, but it works for the moment. Okay, so that's alignment. The more we can get things to line up, the better off we are. You'll also notice I'm trying to keep about the same amount of white space around everything. Then comes the C and the R. That's contrast and repetition. Contrast is important because it makes things stand out. It builds visual hierarchy. It lets people know, hey, pay attention to this. So, and we can contrast in lots of various ways. For instance, I can contrast the size of the text. Exactly right now, I know. Grab graphic artist. Greg Williams, graphic artist. See how that kind of stands out? That's going to be the first thing that we notice. We can contrast the typeface. Instead of medium, make that maybe medium metallic. We could contrast the direction. We could contrast the color. Watch what happens when I grab this and get on up to red. Really starts to scream graphic artist up there to the point you almost don't even notice my name. Just watch it, how your eye gets moved around the screen as we do this. And so contrast, we use contrast to bring attention to those things that we want attention brought to. Click that T icon, the shortcut. Okay, that's a little better. I just couldn't work with that red screaming in my face right there. And as we look, yeah, that's fine. Okay, problem is if we start contrasting everything, the shortcut to select everything on a layer, by the way, is over here on the layers palettes. If I double click the T icon, I can go and change that. So if I were to make that blue, and select that green, we start ending up with so many colors and so many things screaming for attention that we lose total track of what we're trying to do. And the whole point of contrast is to draw attention to specific things. As I look at this piece, these are not that near as important as my name and what I do, and maybe my email address, because that's how I prefer people to get in touch with me. Doesn't mean that's what has to be important on yours. So let me go back and I'm just going to use Command Z or on PC Control Z to undo. A few times. Okay. If we look at what size we had made this, it's at 9 points. So just as important as contrast is building some form of repetition to tie things together. At the moment, they're all Avenir Next, they're all black, a lot of different sizes. If I were to come grab the address layer, the Lakeland layer, the phone number layer, and the email layer, grab my text tool, and change that to 9, and again bring them so they're all okay. They aren't all right aligned, but that's all right. We'll make that happen. Don't know what they're lining up to, but there. By the way, when you do this, and that's probably what I did, the first layer you click is what they should theoretically line up to. There we go. So it looks a little bit better now. We're starting to see where we really want to pay attention. We might tighten up the line between those spaces, the line between those spaces, the line between that text, And as I look, maybe that needs to go up just a touch. I'm just using the arrow key to kind of nudge it one way or the other. If you think back to where we were just a few minutes ago, we definitely know what we want to pay attention to. We have grouped information that belongs together, close together. We have built some hierarchy using contrast, and we have kind of tied it all together by keeping it within certain color ranges. Just to do the repetition a little bit further, if I hold the command, PC Control, and click on a object, I kind of liked what was happening with the blue, not that strong a blue. If I were to make that blue, and maybe come back, and I just double clicked inside here with my T tool. Now, there it is. Click up here on my options palette and come over and grab that blue so that we have that blue. See how things are starting to tie together? Normally I would make the Greg Williams maybe the same color, but double click that. Again, come grab my color, slide out here and click that. Okay, now we have the beginnings of something. Again, I wasn't trying to make something beautiful, but you get the idea of how we can draw attention to certain things, help the viewer understand what we're trying to relate, and that's the concept of C.R.A.P. Contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity.